Now, for my next episode, I have two guests. One of them is a classically trained harpist who has started branching out into the world of jazz, blues, and dance music. She is a very big part of the UK Jazz Harp Association and has organised and played in festivals and concerts galore. The other is a DJ and producer from Italy who have recently played gigs at E1 and Egg nightclub, and together they have started an interesting and very unique duo. Please welcome my good friends Brenda Dor Groot and Cristopher Michelagnoli. First of all, let's start with, before we get this whole setup going, as you can see it's quite an interesting setup we got going here, and we'll be doing some demonstration. But first of all, let's start. Brenda, just tell us a bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, I am a harpist. Trained classical originally, as one does, or did, hopefully. And I at some point stopped being a harpist altogether, because that was not the world I wanted to be in and the music I wanted to make. And I slowly found out what the music is that I wanted to make. So now I'm self-teaching and morphing into blues, jazz, and dance, house, techno,
and
improv, harp playing, and that last quite important bit is
So you play the blues harp, but not the harmonica. So,
indeed,
yeah, brilliant.
Real blues harp, I call it.
Fantastic. And you've got a blue harp here as well today, which is fantastic. It just fits right in there. You also you're part of the UK Jazz Harp Association, or was it?
I am part. I started together with a colleague in Holland, Sabine Meijers, the International Jazz Harp Foundation in 2007, promoting and educating jazz and improvisation on the harp. Promoting everyone in the world who does something with it, which is not many, but luckily more and more.
Yeah.
Now jazz is, of course, it can be a small subject or not, or very broad. This is a bit out there, a bit aside of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how I'm most involved in organizing, promoting, educating that stuff.
Fantastic.
And the UK Harp Association comes to mind with you because we worked together last year on a project we did for the UK Harp Association, which was the Wild Strings Jazz and Pop Harp Festival.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
That was a lot of fun. A lot of harps.
Yep.
Beautiful instruments. Wow. I tell you what. Right. So, Chris, floor is yours. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So, hi everyone. Yes, I'm Christopher. I'm from Italy originally. And I started my career as a DJ almost 10 years ago. Then I decided to move to London to learn how to produce my music, and actually started my journey through the real world of music. And now it's 4 years I'm studying. I'm finished my study already, and 2 years ago I started this project with Brenda.
Was it that long already?
It was that long already, yes. And this is my background.
Fantastic. And you're going to be doing us a little demonstration of what it is that you do in a minute. But yeah, so you say that where was it that you studied?
I studied in Play Deep Studios. That actually it becomes a real school just last year.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity and the privilege to study in a private way, which I consider was the best way to study. I had great result. I'm pretty happy about what I did, and actually I'm starting to teaching in this school now.
That's fantastic. That's great. Yeah, amazing. And you, Brenda, you said you studied as a classical harpist. This was back in Holland, right?
Back in Holland, yes,
Yeah.
and in Germany, yeah.
Okay,
years
in
ago.
Germany as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you speak German?
I do actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Multilinguist.
Yeah, as we Dutch people.
Yeah. Of
do.
course. Yeah. No, it is. It is like that. Lots of Europeans speak, multiple languages.
Yeah, well, in Holland we kind of have to, because as you know, there's not many people speaking Dutch except for us and you guys.
Yeah, which is a variation. Normally, I like to freak people out when I go to Holland and I speak Afrikaans to them, because you just see that moment. They're like, I should be understanding this, but I don't quite get it. And then they reply in English, or they tell me I sound like a 17th century Dutchman.
Which pretty much is.
It's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
I found out, or my grandmother found out years ago, the history of our family going to South Africa. And my first great granddaddy went to South Africa in 1692.
Yeah.
So yeah, people have been there a while.
Yeah.
Great. What was the course that you studied? Just classical harp.
Yeah, classical music.
Is that a
harp.
degree?
It is. Yeah, I took a bachelor's degree in classical harp, teaching and performing. And then when that was finished, I got a scholarship to study in Germany, and I studied there for a year. Decided to go back to Holland for another year of study there, and then I aborted pretty suddenly.
You just decided that's it. I've had enough
Because,
of this classical
stuff.
stuff.
I had experience in orchestras by then. I had played in one summer even in the European Union Youth Orchestra in Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival Orchestra, which was quite something to reach in one year, which is thanks definitely to my studies in Germany with Helge Stork. That was wonderful, but I also learned then that was not
what you wanted
my
to do.
place character-wise. And so then I practiced for a classical harp competition for months on end, and I remember being on my way to that competition to play 20 minutes of music, having secluded myself in a room with 4 walls for months, hating it.
Yeah.
And then I said, even if I win first prize here, it's not going to be worth it.
And you turned around.
And I I quit. I put my harp in the fridge, so to say. However, about a year and a half after that, I had a totally different job. I moved to the US because my now husband was going to do a PhD research there, and we moved there for 2 years, and that's where I got to know how the music world can be more, better between your peers. It was a very nice atmosphere there, and I got to know about blues and jazz.
Fantastic.
And oh, wait a minute, there's more to music than what I've been.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And since then I've been getting back and finding my own way.
Yeah, finding your niche and creating something. Since I been discussing with you about starting the podcast, and since I started, I've been wanting to get you guys on, because I think what you're doing is a really interesting thing. It's not every day you get this combination of harp and dance music, and it's a really interesting thing. So yeah, we'll do a little demonstration in a little bit, where Chris has created a track. And then Brenda's going to record a little bit over that, but
or the other way around.
Or the other, yeah.
I mean, sometimes we do it the other way around. We record a
Sometimes.
bit of harping and then we build a track around that.
Yeah. I mean, that's normally the sort of the way to go, is to record something in and then manipulate it in Ableton.
Exactly.
Well, it's nice though, because I've been playing with house and techno DJs for a while, but that was always they would just select a track, play it, and I would play over it.
You just improvise over
just
the top
on
of
top
it.
of it, which is cool. And we can do that, and we do that for if we want to do a whole set,
Like
we use
do that
existing
as well.
tracks as well.
Yeah.
But the exciting thing about this is that I am there at the birth of the track.
That's right.
We actually define it together.
Yeah, you create it together, which is great. It's I suppose unless those sets are recorded, it's a one-time thing, isn't it? Whereas this is, it's there, it's permanent, and you can release it. You can do whatever you want with it.
Absolutely.
Which is it's the exciting bit. I love when different genres melt together, or just something that's as new as this is, there's a friend of mine that she plays the double bass, and she also does things with Ableton. I'm hoping to get her on soon. She's doing a concert at the Barbican, so hopefully I can sneak some time in there with her. And yeah, she does. She's got shakers and things like that, and she records the bass in, and then she manipulates it, and she's got video images and stuff. And all these things are so exciting. Than more so than just regular. This is what it is, or I'm just going to create this dance track or something like that. So that's yeah, I'm very excited to get going in this. But first, where did you go in America?
Boston. Lived in Boston for 2 years. Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah.
It's a good
I
place.
didn't know that actually.
Well, I did. It was difficult to leave, but
It's
I'm
a
glad I'm
secret.
here now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have,
Come
met
here
you
and done that.
guys and found you and started
It's,
this.
yeah, it's funny. We've on the first one that I did, I was I had a colleague of mine, a friend, Tim Bray, and we were talking about the whole fate, if you will, how things kind of just they seem to work out sometimes in just the right way. So you get to meet the right people in the right time, and then sometimes it doesn't work out quite as well. But if it does, it's just magic, and the things that are supposed to happen then happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very, very exciting. So Chris, tell us, you came to England 10 years ago, did you say?
No, I started DJing 10 years ago. But
Sorry,
I came
you came
to
here
England
4 years
4
ago.
years
That's
ago.
correct. Yeah. And you work at Ronnie Scott's. That's how we know each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and but you also go out and you've got DJ nights that you promote and that you play at. I've seen some of the things on Facebook.
Yeah, more to play than promote. I have my own brand.
Right.
That's why I'm involved with promotion, which is called Load. And I play in quite few places in London. Yeah.
Fantastic. So which are the places that you play at?
The last two places where I'm gonna play, where I've played, are E1, which is quite a big venue, and I was pretty happy to play there.
Where is this?
Is in southeast London. Actually, E1 is because of the postcode. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Very clever what they did there.
Very clever.
Brilliant.
And I'm gonna have actually a gig tomorrow night in the Egg.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is considered one of the top 10 club in London. So pretty happy to
I've
play
worked
there.
in the Egg once. Yeah, it's an interesting place.
Very interesting place. Different kind of music as well in there.
Yeah. Is this the place that's got the toilets in like egg-shaped pods and stuff like that? Have you been there before? I think this is the place. It's very strange.
It might
You definitely
be,
don't want to be tripping on acid when you go there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it might be the place. They just reshape the full club, so maybe it's changed.
It's been a while since I've been there. I mean,
Yeah.
this was when I was working for Pinnacle, so it must have been 2005, 2006, long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. Very.
Yeah. We did some kind of install there. Can't remember. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And so with the promotion, do you have a promotions company that you work with, or you do the promotion for the gigs yourself?
Actually, promotion, especially in the field of electronic music, is like very big things, I will say, because you start to promote yourself in the beginning. Then you have to choose in which way you want to go as a DJ and even as a producer. That's the way what I choose for myself. So basically, once you start to release your music, there is even someone else who's gonna take care about your promotion, because you give your music to someone, and this someone have to sell it.
Of course. Yeah.
So then they start to promote yourself, and it's not gonna be anymore just in London, because for example, I release on a Mexican label and another label which is shared between Spain and Ukraine.
Okay.
So they spread my music all around this part of the world. So this is a kind of promotion. Plus, when you're gonna play in clubs, if you're gonna get invited, of course there are people who promote you for the night.
Yes, because they'll be promoting the night, and
exactly
the club will probably do that.
Club and even the organizer about the party that will take part in that night. plus I have my own brand, so I have to promote myself and my brand.
Yes,
and
yes.
So it's very big things promotion. You have different ways that it happen.
And you do that on all the social media platforms, I take it.
Yes, very basic way. I have no big knowledge about promotion, but yeah, social media is the best.
I'm still learning myself. I only recently I had to bite the bullet and get on Instagram and Twitter, and I've been resisting for so long. But I'm doing it for this, so you know. I'm still learning. That's great. So Brenda, tell me, let's have a little chat about the gig that we did in Manchester last year. That was
amazing.
Very, very interesting, and there were some people that played music which left my mouth just hanging wide open. It was just fantastic to see, and the things that these people do with the harp. I mean, you know, to joke around, we call it the naked piano, but it's just wonderful, and you get such a variety of shapes and sizes. And the beautiful instrument that you brought is just an electric harp.
It is, it is a solid body electric harp. It's pretty much an electric guitar, but then a harp.
That's it. Yeah.
It's, this one is made by a company called Camac Harps, which is from France, and they are also very good at, you know, absolutely at acoustic harps as well. But they also have a nose for what's new and are very much into new ways.
That's great.
So there's quite some artists that play both this solid body electric, but also electroacoustic, mostly harp, which you saw a lot of in that Wild Strings Festival. Yeah. Of course, they're not the only ones. There's other brands, other manufacturers that can make them. But what we did in Manchester was trying to show, well, actually the UK Harp Association wanted harpists that don't fit in the regular classical or folk movement, still feel part of the harp world, so to say, and we wanted therefore to show and focus and give them a platform. So we also had singer-songwriter nights, and but there was also jazz. We had fabulous jazz harpists like Park Stigley, Tara Minton and Rachel Gladwin, and played there. We had a great folk rock group with Eleanor Turner, as you may have known. We had someone, Shelley Fairplay, for instance, come in with these kind of harps and lots of pedals and things to show people what can be done.
Who was that lady that did it was a solo piece but very rock and roll? I think she strapped her harp on as well.
Yeah, that was Shelley.
That's Shelley, right? That was very interesting. It was very rock and roll. I enjoyed that very much.
Well, it's nice, you know. You encounter, when you go and do these things, you encounter two things. You have people that think, but wait a minute, there's no harp in our music. How can you know? And there's people who think, oh, that's interesting, something new. And we have to sort of go between that. Sort of, we constantly have to prove that the harp can have its place there. But then also, it's up to us to find its place. To make it happen. To make, and it's, there's a nice thing to that because it's new ground. So you can actually define it. But it's also
it's a hard road.
It's a hard road. Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we've been working. I just heard for about 3 years, but it goes slowly. You have to have a long.
Well, I mean, I think if you've got the determination to make something work, then in the grand scheme of things, 2 years right now seems like a long time. But if you look back on it, it's like. Yeah, it takes a while to build something up, and
actually the distance, it doesn't help.
It doesn't. No, you say you're both in London, but you know we may as well fly to Italy.
Right. Yeah. It's really hard in London to find time and to cover the distance.
To physically work together, which still works best, of course.
Always.
That's why we were thinking about to learn how to work together with the distance.
You can. There are there are ways that you can do that. I think you can do live sessions where you're both in video chat, if you will, but also within the DAW where you can record and work together. I know Cubase does something like that. I'm pretty sure Pro Tools now also has this facility.
What we were thinking, because about live session is quite more easier, we'll say, than when we create something new. I will say a track, a piece. So what we can do, working and talking about distance, we should record something and then send to each other with the same program, and this will sort it out many problem about time.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, or you could just you could share a cloud, and just whatever gets recorded on there goes in there instantly, and whenever somebody's got time, sit down and do some work on it. I mean, it's always like that with the creation process. It's going to take a little bit more time to get it all ready, and you got to find something that you think is going to work. Whereas in the live, it's you probably would have programmed something in, and you can record something over the top. You can improvise, or you can then do, especially with Ableton Live. I've only recently started learning Ableton Live. I don't know why I've had this mental block, this mental break to learn Ableton. For some reason, I'm like, no, I'm just going to do Logic and Pro Tools, and Ableton's for DJs, which I mean, mostly it is, but it's a fantastic program, and I started getting into it a little bit more. I want to learn how to operate it well enough, so I can get it on the same level I've got Pro Tools and Logic, because for everything it's just good to build the knowledge
but base. I'm very agree with you about that Ableton is not like Logic and Pro Tools in terms about what actually you do. Like Ableton is more for person or people who wanna play live, or for DJs it can be like a good definition. Actually, this is what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why live DJing. I've been watching some videos on YouTube of what these guys do, and it is fantastic. And you can just build things. If you know this program, you can just build things so quickly, and you've got your sounds and your samples in a folder. You just drag it in, and you can manipulate it. It is incredible. It really is. It's a really good piece of software, and I'm looking forward to learning. Maybe you can teach me.
Why not?
We'll make some time. One day we'll stay after a shift at Ronnie's.
I'm in.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely. We've got this space. We can make some things. Yeah, absolutely. And I've got the mixing board there, so we can make some tracks. Absolutely. That's what I kind of kitted this place out for the podcast. Maybe one day when I'm big and grown up, I'll get a studio. But
why not? Would be beautiful.
We can't wait for things to happen. Sometimes we've got to make it happen, like we've been saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think maybe what we can do now is do a little demonstration of what can be done, and you create a little track before. Yeah. And then we'll do some recording into that, and I'm gonna leave this over to you guys for a bit, and so go for it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, bring that close to you.
So for setup, we have
please talk.
Here.
Let's talk about your setup.
Yeah, which is electric. So
harp,
no.
The main instrument, I will say as well. The main instrument, this is how I like to call it in this project.
And the harp goes out through a few effect pedals. I happen to have right here now a wah, a whammy, which I'm very much in love with, which is relatively new.
Yeah.
So we're still I'm still exploring, but it's great.
Oh wow, so great.
Whammy especially.
Yeah.
And then I have an Electroharmonics octaver.
Amazing.
And there's lots more.
Yeah.
But this is the setup for now.
That's fantastic.
And and then it goes out directly to you.
To me, that's I'm gonna control today Ableton just manually, but what I like to use, I have my own synthesizer at home, which is the Prophet Reeve 2, and it's completely analog sound, which I think is beautiful.
The Prophets are fantastic.
It gives
They're
absolutely
so
other character to the music. That's today I prepared something quickly with Ableton VST, so we can hear what we do, but obviously when you're gonna hear something that we made properly, sound is gonna be completely different.
100%. Yeah, no, this is for demonstration purposes, and after I will be posting links to everybody's LinkedIn, Facebook, and all these things, and also where you can find your music. Do you release your music on Spotify or iTunes or anything like that?
Yeah, the two labels which are called Uxoa, Duxoa, and KDB, they release on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Beatport. Beatport for DJs is, like, I will say, the main source.
All right.
Because you can see even like the top 10 chart, you can see everything related with the music world. And not only about techno, you can see about deep house, psytrance, many different kinds of music.
Everything all in there.
So it's the main source about
fantastic
music.
Lovely. Right, okay, go for it.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna start like slowly. I'm gonna just let it go the loop a little bit, and then I will introduce a little bit of sound, and in a bit Brenda is gonna take over the loop.
Fantastic.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, let's start.
Yeah. Right. Wow. That's fantastic. That is yeah, man. Then you can just keep looping that around and manipulating that. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
And it was really done in such a short time. It goes to show, if you know your software and if you know everything, it just goes like that. So that was.
And of course,
really,
you want to layer it and
yeah,
record bits of this and then play over
you
that
then
again.
manipulate that
It's
on
now
top of each other.
Just a series of ideas, of course. But,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That's
you can
how the
elaborate
whole thing gets born. You start with a little seed, and then it grows, and you give it water, and there we go from
Like
there.
let it flow. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Today we use just couple of chords, but usually
Yeah.
we like to grow and change, and maybe go
Absolutely.
even into different notes or scale.
Absolutely, yeah. No, the possibilities are endless.
It's gonna be.
That's the good thing, and with, I suppose, with DJing, especially if you're going to do this live, it's not like you have a song of a set length and that's it. You can keep this thing going for 2 hours if you want. You can just go around.
No, we did just these 2 chords, but yeah.
No, I mean it can
Yeah.
develop, and it can become, and you can go through waves, and it can change with the time. It's not like it has to be like, okay, this is our song, blah blah blah, play it, and then done. Thank you very much. Next song is it's a very fluid thing, so you can make it move, and
which is something I have to get used to, because I'm used in classical music and jazz and
you
things.
have a piece,
You're
you play
used
it,
to
and
do
that's
a
it.
piece and to make that as varied and explosive or whatever as possible. And whereas I am learning now that in your world, so to say, it's more about slower build-ups and more steadiness and a bigger breath, so to say.
Yeah, actually was the first very big obstacle we met, I will say. These kind of things that we were start to playing together, even in a DJ set where the tracks were not from us. And there was not this understanding about timing and how we were building, the shape of the music, and we had to talk about that and understand again the process and how to make it again.
Yeah.
But I think that the beautiful things about this, it can be a good point to create something new, because we discover the difference between one world and another one. It doesn't exclude that you create something new, doing the
both
both.
worlds.
Yeah,
put them together.
And it takes discussions. I mean, we have lots of discussions
yeah,
about me having to try and not be afraid of doing the same every time, because I'm sort of wanting to
you want to keep the progression going.
Yeah, and maybe do too much exciting stuff, because then you miss getting that groove.
So you have to keep it simple.
So he'll have to say, keep doing that. Don't think you have to change it every time. Whereas I am sort of you're being challenged by me in trying to let's go into different chords. Let's use different scales. A bit more out
maybe
there.
change the time signature, something like that.
And
but I suppose the dance music is majority of it is 4/4, isn't it? Yeah.
And actually, we had even to create a proper way to communicate with the hand, like a sort of hand language, just to talk about when one of the two should maybe stop and leave the space for the other one, or maybe keep going or stop it. We need to communicate in some way, and we had to create these languages with the hand. And I think it's pretty related about this, to understand when someone had to take over.
I think, but also, like you said, you both had to learn the other's world a little bit more. And the beautiful thing is that you've started creating something new. You've started blending the two worlds together. But also, where you said it's a bit of an adjustment. I guess you won't know until you start doing it, because you can talk about this as long as you want, but until you start doing it, you're not going to know where the pitfalls are and where the probably you won't even know what the point there is to discuss until there's something that comes up. So that's just, it's beautiful that you're creating something new, and you're going to be doing. You said you're going to be doing a set together soon, or are you going to be playing with him? Brenda, you said you're going to be playing with him sometime soon. Is there something that we can be looking forward to?
Well, soon.
We're working on that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No, well, the thing I mentioned was that we are. These are harp events, obviously, but we played at the Wild Strings event together. There's another harp event that's coming up, is the World Harp Congress, which is going to be held in Cardiff next summer. And we're invited to do a set there. We're allowed to go there and show the harp world what this is about. But of course, leading up to that, or actually in the meantime, or and beyond, far beyond, there should be, there's stuff coming up here. You just want to play as much as possible.
Yeah,
in
playing.
London, and
It's very much. I found, for me personally, as a guitarist, I can sit in my bedroom and practice until my fingers bleed. Right, but I'm only going to learn so much, and playing with others, it just opens up a whole new world. And you see something somebody else does, and that's interesting. Maybe I'll try and incorporate that. Or you see something, this is not for me, and so it broadens. I mean, the whole thing about music is not just to play for yourself or play with yourself. It's to put it out there. It's you want to express the emotion that it brings, and that's what music. But
there is of course this perfectionism that we want to. That's why we huddle in our little spaces trying to have it better, right? Because
get your craft ready.
Yeah, because and then maybe it will never be ready, and that's a bit of an issue. I mean, I struggle with wanting to have it perfect before going out there, but then you're really never going out there.
Understand that. I completely understand that, because for me as well, because I'm not an accomplished guitarist in any way. I've been playing for a long time, but it kind of comes and goes. When I've got time, I'm also quite busy. But when I do have time, I like to write music and I like to do these things. But our housemate Jamie is incredible guitarist, and I sometimes I'm fearful of playing with him, because I'm like, I'm not even going to be 100th as able as him to play. But a lot of the times it's very good practice to play with those that are better than you.
Absolutely. Wasn't it Marsalis who said
Winston
you
Marsalis.
Always have to make sure you're the worst one in a band?
I think it was him that said that, yeah. He's a great guy. He's a fantastic guy. I worked with him at Ronnie's a few years ago, and wow. Yeah,
and it's frightening, but it's true what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, no, these guys, they drop little gems here and there, and it's good just to keep your ears open. But it's definitely worth. I think maybe we, as musicians, we always judge ourselves way too harshly, and not all of us. There are some of those out there that think a lot more of themselves than what they're actually worth. Yeah. But we have this tendency to think that, oh no, I'm not good enough to go and take on this venture or do something like that. But you'll never know until you give it a go, right? You might even surprise yourself and come up with something new, like you guys have done. And I've been very interested in this project ever since you asked me if I knew any DJs to start with this project. Would be
adventurous enough to
yeah. And I mean, immediately I thought of you, because we had it's funny, it's like, again, fate, how it works, right? Because we'd had a conversation about the production, and the DJing and stuff like that. I think 2 or 3 days before she'd asked me. It was within a week that we'd had this discussion, because I didn't know that you were a DJ. Yeah, I know you from Ronnie's. You're a barman
we didn't
at Ronnie's.
know each other since a long time, actually, at that time.
No, well, you've been at Ronnie's for 3 years now? 4 years?
Now it's 4 years.
4 years.
It was 2 years ago, and we met a couple of times,
Yeah, well, you know how it goes. We're always running around doing this and that, and you guys are kind enough to serve us drinks all night long.
Exactly.
And was it just after the gig that we did that you'd asked me about it? Well, no, this was before that, because this is 2 years ago. What am I talking about? Because you'd already done a gig together at that concert.
The Wild Strings thing, you mean? He actually did a workshop there for harpists about how to create drum tracks and stuff, and it was.
I remember that. Yeah. Man, that was a fun weekend. We saw some incredible players. There was this guy. What was his name? He was like the best pedal player. I bet you're talking about
Park Stickney.
That guy. My lord. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if any of you guys, maybe you want to call out some names of people that people need to check out.
Well, there's always a danger to that, right? Because you're going to forget people, miss people, and then...
That's true.
But Park Stickney is definitely
I suppose the best thing is I'll just link... I'll just post some links to everybody's websites and Facebook and LinkedIn and
SoundCloud,
whatever you want, and then from there, you can build your database. I mean, a lot of times people think, oh, but it's a podcast about sound engineers are going to be very technical. It's like, no, it's really just my aim with this is I feel I know so many awesome people, right? From in the whole music scene, on both sides, musicians and sound engineers. And I don't want to just keep you all to myself. I want to make sure that everybody knows who you are and all the amazing things that you do. So that's kind of the point. And just get to know the people behind the scenes, because it's called Hey Sound Guy, because that's one of the things that we don't very much like to be called. If somebody from stage, hey Sound Guy, is like, I have a name. And most of the times at the beginning we'll go and introduce ourselves. Some guys, I suppose, don't do that. And but it's just so we can show the humanity of both sides, if you will. We're not just the technical guys that do that. We like to get involved in these things as well.
Well, need to. We need you guys to.
We need you, yeah.
To actually. The ones who make it sound good, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It's a very, very interesting profession, and I really do enjoy my work very much, and I feel very fortunate with the people that I've been fortunate enough to meet and interact with. Because it always just gives you new ideas and broadens the horizon. And like I said, it's not just for me, not just with music, but even with engineering. When I see a great engineer, I'll go and steal all his chops. Absolutely, I'm over his shoulder. And I had that once where is Presley, one of the Elvis's daughter. Is it Priscilla?
Priscilla.
Yes,
I guess, yeah.
Right. She came and she did a CD launch in Ronnie Scott's, and the engineer that they brought in was the engineer that he engineers for Paul McCartney, and I think he engineers for AC/DC as well. So he's a major hero of mine, and we'd had this. Luckily, I've been watching his every move, absolutely everything, and it was a big mix. It was a 36 channel mix.
Wow.
And this is when we still had the Yamaha M7 desk, and it was a long sound check. It was a lunchtime thing, or just before the doors had opened. 4:00 we were doing the thing, and then it was the main gig in the evening again. And it was a long 3-hour sound check, and everybody had broken and gone for lunch and all this, and then we were going to come back and do the gig. And I don't know why he didn't save his session, which is a bit of a no-no. You should always do that. I think maybe it's just used to analog desks where you don't have to save anything; it's always there. And I remember I took the iPad, because we've got an application that controls the desk via the iPad, and we were sitting next to each other, and I opened the app up to show him that he can use this as a remote control, because, like I said, I think he's more of an analog guy. And as I opened the app up, I heard the desk go like click, and my heart stopped. The whole session got reset, everything. And I said to him, please tell me that you saved the session. He's like, no, I didn't. And luckily, I watched his every move, and I dialed the whole thing in by memory. EQs and sends and everything, and we did small tweaks before the gig, but it worked out fine. But yeah, it's the willingness to learn and expand and try new things, and that's what this project is all about, and it's really fantastic. I'm really glad that you guys agreed to come on this thing.
Thank you.
And I hope that we can, we'll be posting the links and things and get you guys just more promotion really in all three worlds. I'll be posting in the sound guys and you for DJs and harp people, and you've got have you got any sort of interesting festivals or things coming up this year? This year's kind of finished, isn't it?
I can't spoon it for you. That's not an English expression, but we'll post them.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, great. Yeah. So you've got some things that are there that can't be talked about. That's fair enough. So that's great. And you teach as well. Harp. You teach harp and all kinds of music, or
I teach harp to anyone who wants to learn to play the harp, and definitely all about thorough technique and
because it's not an instrument to play. Jump on
the nice
there.
thing about the harp is that you touch it and you can just plug a string and it sounds nice right away, like different from when you try to play a violin or something.
Yes.
So there's lots of good things about it, but then again, it's also very complicated.
Yeah, it's easy, but it's hard.
Can get complicated, and anyway, but I also teach those who want to move into more like jazz and blues and improvisation.
You do the conversion.
And I'm at the beginning stage of that. I mean, if you really want to get way into jazz harp, you may want to see people like Park Stickney and Tara Minton and so on. But as in getting to know your way around chords better and the basics,
and the
I try
theory
to do that. And
that's great. That's fantastic. And you also you teach the school band as well, right? You've taken that on board, which is fantastic. Obviously, nobody's going to know that. But Brenda's two sons and my daughter are in the same school, and there's a school band now, which is a very new thing, isn't it? It hasn't been there before.
No, it was actually just my son who plays the drums said he wanted to get together with some friends.
Right, so
play.
It was his idea.
And
great, and Mummy just made it happen. That's fantastic. And along with Rachel Nolan as well, right? She's involved in the organisation of it.
Yeah, she is, and she comes from a different angle. She was actually my son's musicianship teacher in Junior Music School here, and she's very used to work with children in music on a more musicianship level. She comes from a vocal background.
That's right. She's a soprano.
Yeah. And then, of course, Ruth Templeton, who is a great music educator and clarinet player and lots of other instruments, who actually, together with me, coached the kids.
That's I've been in there a few times, and it's great. It's a bit hard work sometimes because they're young and they're wild. But the concert actually it turned out all right. They played 3 songs and it worked out quite well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can now entice them to, go into the garage, as you would say, and do their own thing.
Yes.
I mean, they're a bit young to be able to lead
you got to plant the
themselves
seed, man.
But
you got to plant the seed, and I think the younger you can get them, the better.
Absolutely.
I
missed that when I was young.
It's not like it used to be 200-300 years ago. Where kids are barely walking, and then it's like, you will play that. I mean, Mozart was an exception. He was just. But I mean, one of the reasons Beethoven went deaf is because his father used to beat him because he wasn't as good as Mozart. His father was a violinist, not very accomplished, and a mean old drunk. And apparently, if Beethoven didn't perform, and he wanted him to be where Mozart was because he had the talent, or he thought he had the talent. And when he didn't perform, he would just beat him.
Wow,
it's terrible.
It's a huge thing.
It's terrible.
It's a huge thing. Yeah.
But now I think we let kids form themselves a little bit more and get their own idea. And I think if they if they latch onto it by themselves, if you will,
That's the thing,
there's more of a willingness to take it on. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit guilty of that, because my daughter, she loved my guitar since she could walk, and she was like always interested, and she was playing it. And I bought her a guitar when she was 3, and I was, maybe she's gonna try and do these things, but I think it was a bit early. Now though, she's more interested, and she wants to learn a bit more. So I'm giving her some lessons, which is great. But I think with kids. Yeah. Also, we live a little bit longer than we did 200 years ago, so everybody's got a little bit more time to develop something. And like I said, if they actually want to do it, then they'll pour themselves into it a lot more. I didn't start playing until I was 17 or 18.
When did you get into music actively?
Actively with DJing when I was 19, 20. So, but I always had like a very deep feeling with music. That's why I choose to follow this world.
That's very important. Because they a lot of people will be like, yeah, I like music and it's okay, but if it's something that moves inside you, then obviously you're gonna pursue it. And you're gonna want to make something of it. I suppose it was the same with you. How old were you when you started playing? You must have been...
I was 6.
Right. There you go.
That's quite a while ago.
And you always played the harp?
I did, yeah. I also don't remember. I have, when people ask me, why did you start playing, I never know. The only answer I know is that my mum told me that when I was 5, I saw someone tune her harp, like one of those big...
Your mum's a harpist as well?
No, my mum plays the piano and organ. So... we were somewhere where I saw someone tune her big concert harp. And apparently that's when I said I wanted to play the harp, and I kept that up for a year or so until I was allowed to.
That's fantastic. Amazing.
But I don't remember it. So it's but then again, because I had such a sort of classical organized music life, because that's all we knew. At some point when I was in my 20s, it felt like an obligation and not a calling or whatever.
Started refusing it mentally.
People always say, "Oh, it's great you made your profession out of your hobby," And I was used to say, "But now I don't have a hobby anymore because it's purely obligation."
Now it's work.
Yeah, and I'm slowly moving back to now that I have kids of my own, and I value the time that I have with my instrument in a room much more than before.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's still also probably also a personality thing that I make myself do things and I forget sometimes to enjoy it until the moment that we're together and making music together, and then it clicks.
Then
and
it pays off.
Again,
It pays off.
Yeah, but that's when I start to like it. That's also why I do all these collaborations
Keep
that are
it interesting.
maybe a bit different, but not sitting in my room for ages and ages playing that instrument myself, because that's not where my motivation comes from. The motivation comes from.
But that's where you put the work in, so that you could go and do these other things. I think that's a very important point to get across. Yes, the end goal is to go out there and express yourself musically, but the work has to be put in before. You're not just going to pick up an instrument and then go and perform. No. You can do, but people might not be there at the end of the song. Or you might not, maybe you're some kind of genius, but that happens so rarely. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about, I think people, especially kids now, there was this thing about the millennials and the Gen Z, how they're all so incredibly depressed and anxiety ridden because they're used to things happening now. The internet and social media has made everything so instant that they don't understand the long run. They can't see the end goal. They want results now. And if I don't get it now, then it's not working, and I'm not happy with my life. And oh my God, I'm going to kill myself, right? It's very important, and I try and teach my daughter that, and I'm sure that you do, that it's going to be hard work. Anything worth doing, there's going to be a lot of hard work, and there's going to be a lot of frustration. There's going to be a lot of times where you're like, oh, I just don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And same with you, creating something, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But it doesn't mean it's not going to work out in the long run. You learn something from that every time. And I think it's very important to just instill that idea that it's going to take a while, and there's going to be some times where you're like, I really just don't want to do this, but I'm going to sit down. And the good thing, you've got the discipline to say, okay, I'm going to sit down for 4 hours and I'm going to practice and I'm going to do this. And it's not going to be fun now, and it's not going to be nice, and I'd much rather go out and the sun is shining and this or that or these or those. But then it all comes together in the end where you're like, I've started this new project, or I've got the jazz harp gigs, or I've got the blues things that are going on, and I can now go and express myself freely without worrying about am I going to do this right? Because I already know I'm doing it right. It's committed to muscle memory, and it's already in there. And the
that's
idea
quite
is,
a utopia you're painting there, but it's
well, I mean,
right.
it's that's the goal of practicing and putting in the hours, and it goes across the board with anything.
But and the other thing is, because that we really need, and especially as musicians who have to create every time live again. That's what you need, that much baggage. And what I like also about producing stuff, what you do is you have the process of being in your room with that stuff is also the creating process that is going to bring you the end product.
Yeah, of course.
Because
absolutely,
once you finish something, you can release it. It's like hanging a painting on the wall.
100%.
But that I've always been so jealous of.
But actually, I would like to say something about what you just said, because this frustration about practicing, and people that sometimes they don't want to learn stuff because it's hard. I think there is a little secret that leads people to reach their goal, and I think that this secret is like, just don't forget to follow the dream. This is
keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah, this is the way I keep my strength to do something, or sometimes, as you said, you have to sit there, and it happened to me like so many times. Like, I have some projects going on, and I have to sit there and say like, fuck no, I just finished for late night, I really don't want to do that, but maybe the following week I have to send the mix and the master to the record label, and you need to do that. But always I remember something when it happened to me, that I have a dream, and inside the dream there is even a purpose. Like, even the reason why I do this project with Brenda, my purpose is to give to electronic music because sometimes electronic music, what is lack is the music itself. Like, sometimes it's missing. Music, because it's if we talk like about electronic music, it's just and techno especially, it was created in the 90s, 80s, 90s is when electronic music started to be created. And in the beginning you didn't have like this laptop that you have nowadays, that you can do everything you want. Long time ago it was pretty hard put like 4 channel inside a track, and of course you're gonna missing musicality, and nowadays there are producers, they did not used to do that. So my purpose is like make electronic music better, something that you can express yourself, as you were saying, because it's not like playing an instrument make a track. So you're gonna miss even this expression, and communicate with people, then it's gonna become harder because you miss expression. But if you keep all your purpose and your dream in your mind, then it's something that is gonna help you to go through all this process and reach what you need.
The determination to push through.
Yeah, and you see it, and even if you are tired and you don't wanna, then you say, oh, I have something to do, something more important than me.
That's very important to keep that to keep the goal in your mind's eye. And I mean, also sometimes it's like you said, you got to have a track finished next week, and you know you're going to be working 60 hours for the next 7 days or whatever, but this still needs to be done. And there's a lot to be said for that, that you've got the determination and the willingness to push through. You've got the integrity, because also your name's writing on this. And I always look at it, you're only as good as your last gig or your last performance, because you can have a perfect track record up until that point, and you make something go horribly wrong, or you don't hand something in on time, you miss a deadline, and there's such a knock-on effect from there that it's always, for me, it's always vital to do everything to the best of my ability. It's not always going to be great, but if I can tell myself I did the best that I did, I'm happy with it, regardless of whatever the results are going to be. But within myself, I can say I did my best with the time that I had, or with this or with that. But as long as there's this kind of self-satisfaction of I did what I could do within the time or within my constraints, or don't start fucking making excuses, but you still delivered. And I mean, so many times I've worked straight through the night to get something done, and there's that, like I said, there's that determination, and that is very lacking. I see that lacking in a lot of younger people, where, like I said, again, they want the result now, but they're not always willing to put that work in, and they don't understand why is it not working, or this or that. So it's something that I feel is very important to bring it home, that if you've got a purpose, like you said, or you've got a goal, you've got a dream, keep your mind's eye on that always. The results are going to come. The work, you're not going to see it straight away. It's the same thing as going to the gym, or going on a diet. If you go on a diet today, you're not going to have lost 10 pounds tomorrow. It just doesn't work like that. And if you did, you're doing it wrong, because it's going to come back and you're going to put on 20 pounds, that's for sure. Results are slower, and if you reach smaller goals along the way, it's going to be lasting results. It's going to be there forever. Like with practicing, you can practice a scale for however long, and it's going to be so boring after a while. You just want to throw this thing against the wall, but for a fact that in 5 years from now and 10 years from now, it's going to be there. You can recall on it, even if you don't use it every day, but you can recall on that, and it's still going to be there. I mean, I practiced my scales relentlessly for a while, and it got so boring. And after a while, I'm like, God damn, I've just spent 3 hours listening to a metronome practicing these scales. And
to be honest, I'm sometimes like that.
Yeah.
Because it's
like meditation almost.
Oh yeah, and it's work where you have to think less. Where it's muscle work and program it, sort of. But then also you can, of course, you should make it more exciting. You should do, absolutely. But you got to commit those things to memory first. They've got to be in there before you can then recall and then manipulate them to, there's ways to make scale practice more. Oh, absolutely. Fun. Yeah, you do different sequences and things like that, 100%. I sometimes loved that more than having to push myself to think about how you express those two notes in that concert, because that sometimes takes much more effort, but depending on the personality you have. No, absolutely. But if you've got those things so ingrained in yourself, then you don't have to think about it, and then you can focus completely on the music. But it's time you have to put in. That's the time you have to put in, and I think maybe telling myself. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll just hammer it home that whatever it is that you want to do, don't get discouraged if it doesn't work out straight away. Don't ever give it up. And if you give it up, then maybe that wasn't your thing. Maybe find something else. But if there's something that you're really passionate about and you really, really want to do it, stick with it. Work, do the long nights and do the boring practices, and they're not always going to be boring, but do those things regardless. Set yourself a regimen, set yourself a practice routine, and stick with it, and then you're gonna reap the rewards of it. Absolutely, 100%. That's something that I can say. Just keep the determination and accept that you're going to do that all your life. Not like you're going to be 30 and you're there.
Yeah. No. It's a constant growing thing and a constant evolving thing. Like, you know, you can start something new like you guys did. You can go off in a whole new direction. Who knows? Maybe you start something that's never been done before, and then that would have, it would have all been worth it.
And you know, because what you just said is the most beautiful suggest that you can say to someone: never give up. And something that people sometimes forget, that just came to my mind. You know, sometimes people struggle to learn something perfect or to learn something so complicated, but sometimes you need something easy and simple.
Small goals.
Yeah,
small goals.
You know, and so even if you don't do something like exceptional, you know, extraordinary, this it doesn't mean that with something simple you can create something never done before, you know. So
absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I mean, as long as you find enjoyment in it, then it's all worth it. You don't have to become a famous this or a famous that, you know, as long as, because that's another thing that the kids nowadays, everybody wants to be famous, and the thing is, nobody even know what they want to be famous for. A lot of people, they just want to be famous. Like, famous for what? Do you have a goal? Do you have a project? Do you have anything? No, not really. I just want to be famous. Okay. But you know, as long as you enjoy what you do and you find that fulfillment within yourself, you're winning. There's nearly 8 billion people on this planet, and you know,
we can't all be famous.
No, we can't all be famous. But as long as if you have the personal victories, you're gonna live a much more fulfilling life if you have that satisfaction within yourself. And you know, sometimes you just need to know. You don't even have to go and tell anybody about it. I mean, a lot of the things I do, I find the most satisfaction in just knowing that I can do it. I don't have to tell anybody about it, but I can do it.
And you're gonna be free.
That's it.
It's free. It's freedom. What you're gonna gain.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up right there. Thank you so much for coming in, guys. I really, really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It was a beautiful
really
experience.
Exciting,
fantastic.
An amazing experience. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. See you soon. Right, there we have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I have. I will be including links to social media in the description below, so you can get in contact with these fantastic people. Please, if you like this podcast, subscribe, hit the like button, share with your friends, get the word out there, and yeah, until next time.